Welcome to the Dragon Slayer podcast by East Idaho Credit Union. I am Steven. With me, as always, is Bailey, and today's guest, Randy Christensen from Ben & James. Randy, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Yeah, this is great.
So, okay, Randy and I are old friends.
Yeah, we go way back.
We've known each other since, I'm trying to think, you were 14 maybe?
I was
15?
Probably 15, 16, I would guess, yeah.
Been a long time. Yeah, been a long time. But we kind of fell out of touch for a few years.
Yep.
Then we both ended up in Idaho.
Yeah.
Amazingly.
That's what's the craziest
against
part
all
about
odds.
What state were you guys in when you met?
So I was from Texas. He was from Washington.
State.
And we were both in Washington.
Wow. Small world.
Small world. And then we both ended up here in East Idaho.
Yeah. And rekindled here.
Okay, take it easy. All right. Okay, so Randy, let's start off with just tell people, what does your company do?
Ben & James, we make baby products right now, mostly for newborns. We make baby swaddles, nursing covers, car seat cover combo. We have like little mini blankets. We have adult blanket swaddle that is highly requested.
A swaddle blanket for an adult?
Is
that what
not
I
necessarily
just
used
heard?
for swaddle, but everyone, like I had a mom from Rigby was like, I want one of these in my size.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we don't really sell that. And she's like, well, tell me what it costs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. All right. So I sit down, break it out. I'm like, that's a pretty decent price point. I guess we could start doing this, And so I think she ordered 2. And then I'm like, well, I'll just start making them and start selling them, and
You got to do a human, like an adult swaddle video.
yeah,
social.
for real. Here you go.
Who swaddles you when you're an adult at that point?
Honestly, though, it's like the best travel blanket because it's 75 inches tall, 60 inches wide, and it folds down to smaller than a pair of jeans. And so, like, it's perfect for plane, for any traveling that you're gonna do because it folds down so small.
That's crazy. So your big product, though, I feel like the one that I feel like I see everywhere is it's like a swaddle thing.
The swaddle sack. Yep.
Swaddle sack. Yeah. I didn't want to say it, but yeah.
So our company is named Ben & James after our 2 oldest boys, right?
Right.
And our 3rd boy comes along, and he's 2 months old, and he's breaking out of the swaddle. Like, he just wiggles his arms up and just gets him out, and he's in his face and just frustrating us because he's waking up so often. And so I'm at work one day, and I'm in the middle of a conversation with our marketing director of marketing, and I just have this idea on a swaddle sack. And I'm like, hold that thought. Let me sit down, and I need to draw something out real quick. So I pull out a piece of paper and I draw out the design of the swaddle sack, what's now known as the Jack swaddle sack.
Yeah.
And I go home that night. My wife she's going to High Fit. And so as she goes, put the boys down, me and Jack head down to the basement, and I have this little scrap of paper that I drew it on, and I make it, right? Because I have sewing machines and stuff in the basement. So I make this design. I put it on him, extremely tight, right? So I pull it off, make a new, I go through a couple variations. I send a picture to my wife, and I'm like, check out this new swaddle, right? Well, I make a couple versions of it, and we start using it at night. And one night it was probably 3:30 in the morning. She's like, I hate this swaddle. Like, his arms get up in his face. Like, it didn't solve the problem, right? I'm like, well, the initial idea was this is going to be the simplest way to swaddle a baby because a lot of dads really struggle to swaddle. Like, and it
was really good.
And
I
then
just want to put it out there. I am too, actually. Pretty expert level on swaddling.
It intimidates a lot, like even moms as well. Like, sometimes the dad is the one that swaddles, right? It just intimidates a lot of parents. And so I was like, this is the easiest way. Just slip it up over their arms and their body, and they're swaddled.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't solve the problem getting their arms. So I'm laying there after she says that, and she's feeding him, trying to get back to sleep, and I'm sitting there. All right, I love this thing. Like this, this idea is there. It's just I gotta figure out how to lock those arms down. And so I probably lay there for 3 hours, like just in my mind, just.
Did you picture like a straight jacket in your mind for a
kind
baby
of,
in your
a
mind?
Little bit. No. The difference is there's no Velcro, no hooks, no
Right,
nothing,
right.
right? It's just fabric, right?
Right.
And so I was thinking, man, if I just get a piece of fabric that runs kind of behind his back and between his, that would work or whatever. And so I just tried a strip of fabric there between them, and it was just hard to manage that. And so I finally came up with the idea of sewing it up the middle in the back. And so there's pockets on the inside that you slide the swaddle on the baby, and then you just reach your arm in, grab their hand through the pocket, pull their hand into the pocket, and their arms are locked down by their sides. They can't get them up. So they're just locked right here. And it's just, for whatever reason, it's extremely like soothing and calming for them, And like the majority of our reviews are just like, I don't know what it is about this thing, versus others that just calms my baby right down, like it allows them to sleep longer stretches, because they're not wiggling and moving and waking themselves up. So.
Well, yeah, anybody who's had newborns knows
the struggle.
The sleep is precious, right? Like you just don't get a lot of it. And if you can make that work any better,
you
then
maximize that at all.
Yeah, you just do the best you can, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I hear that.
And like with this product, it's just crazy because it felt so inspired, right? Like just from the beginning. And there was a point where I'm like, this is awesome. Like we're loving it, right? Is this something that I put on the market, right, for Ben and James? And I really just wasn't sure. And so I think I made about 14, sent them out to our friends and family that were having babies, and I'm like, just try this thing and just let me know. Like,
yeah,
if it's worthless and you don't like it, then by all means, that's totally
don't tell
fine.
me, but just throw it away.
Like,
yeah,
please tell me. Like, be honest too. Like, that's another thing. Like, just whatever feedback you can get, right? And they all really seemed to love it, and I was like, all right. About 15 people tested this thing. Let's just try it out. And so
what did they say? What did they say when you gave it to these 15 people?
I was like, this is a game changer. This is incredible. Actually, we had a lot of good feedback. Like, okay, the pockets are too high, right? Like, it seems a little uncomfortable. It seems a little weird or whatever. Like, okay, so we drop it down a little bit, and then okay, now they're a little too low. They're getting their arms out, right? So there was some really good feedback that kind of helped me perfect. The pockets and the.
So is that the one that started the whole company? Is you came up with that?
No.
Or were you doing something first?
Do you want the long version of this?
give us the origin story.
Okay,
yeah.
so here we go.
All right.
James isn't in the picture at this point.
Okay.
So this is kind of the long version that I go into. My wife is rolling her eyes right now because she's like, oh my gosh, another long Randy story. Here we go, But so when Ben was like 3 months old, we were going to the fireworks here in town, right? Because the greatest fireworks show was the side of the Mississippi, right? And so
that's Riverfest, right? Is that what that is?
I think so, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Melaleuca fireworks.
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. That's the one.
Well, it's 99 degrees, not a cloud in sight, right?
Oh,
so
how nice.
So we take this 3-month-old, he's in his car seat, pull him out, stick him in the stroller. Well, it's bright as can be. We don't want him to roast. So we pulled the cover over, pulled the other cover over, and now he's just in there sweating to death, right? And
Yeah.
he's just miserable.
It's like a sauna.
I know, and he's crying. I'm like, this is a nightmare.
Yeah.
And so we were there for 10 minutes, maybe, right? And we come back and like, he's losing it. This is not worth it at all. And so we went home, and we didn't end up coming back later once the sun was down. But that next week, we were going to be at home, and we were going to be back in Washington. It was going to be like 10 degrees hotter almost, right? And it was just going to be miserable. We were going to be outside a lot. And so I was like, I'm not doing this. So Ben and James actually, before it was Ben and James, started in the garage, not in the sewing room. And so I built this. It was like a baby hammock, right? That I didn't know how to sew. I didn't own a sewing machine at the time. And so I went to Walmart and got a fabric, and I just stapled it. I built it out of wood because that's what I know.
Because
right?
you know how to do that.
Yeah. So I built this out of wood. Like it kind of looked like one of those beach chairs that you lounge out.
Yeah.
At the beach or at the pool. And so it's kind of that shape. Lay a baby on it, and then underneath I built a shelf for a battery powered fan. So he sits there and he's getting cooled from the back because you can't blow a fan on a baby's face because they just stop breathing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's in his back and it's just blowing. And I got this thing and I built it to where it fits inside the stroller, right? And so like you can push this thing around, baby's in it, like it's just keeps them chill and cool and good. And so I've spent hours and hours, like months on this
Was
product.
your wife like,
She hated
you are
this
crazy,
thing.
right?
To this day, she hates this product. It's not even, I haven't even launched it. Like, it's not even on my website yet. But this is something that, like, it kind of died off just because manufacturing something like this is just more difficult. And so I just I actually got it was patent pending. Like, I got a provisional patent on it. It's since expired, but it's still in the works. Like, it's still in the back of the brain. This is the product I really want to get. I called it the baby breeze, because it's got a little breeze for the baby.
Yeah.
So fast forward, James is 17 months after Ben is born. James is born, right? And as we're preparing for James, my wife goes out and buys a bunch of swaddles, and I'm like, this is the easiest company ever. Like, you just cut a fabric into a square and sew the edges,
Yeah.
And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I could start a business doing this, and then I can bring back the baby breeze,
There you
right?
go.
You know what I mean? Like, that was the
comes
thought.
to life, yeah.
This may be news to my wife, I don't know, but through the years, I'd pitched hundreds of business ideas to my wife, and with some pretty hard rejection.
Sure,
you know,
yeah.
like, we're not wasting our money on that, kind of thing. And
But shoes for rabbits makes sense. It does.
yeah. So she didn't really say no, so I went out and I got a bunch of He's like, I'm just gonna go
She
for
didn't
this.
say no,
I'm just
so
gonna-
I just took that as full steam ahead,
I really though I did, and so I ordered a bunch of swatches, like sample fabric, and I'm like, this one feels for whatever reason, this one feels different. The swatch is like this big. I'm
Right.
like, can't really get a real tell from this, but I'm like, this one, for whatever reason, this one just feels different. I'm like, babe, check this out. Like this. Anyway, so I just ordered $500 worth of that, and I'm like, well, I got to sell this now, right? Like, I have to sell $500 worth. If it fails, whatever, right?
Yeah, at least
And
we didn't lose anything on it.
Yeah. So I go to the designer at Cal Ranch, or this is where I worked at the time, and I was like, I need a logo, right? And so she's like, what's the company's name? And I'm like, I think I knew it. I probably knew at this point, but I was like, it's Ben and James, and so she designs probably 15 or 20 of them, and I'm like, all right, this is the one. We're settling on this.
Yeah.
So I get that from her, and then I just find a tag company out of Oregon randomly, just kind of online. Again, I didn't have no idea how to do any of this, right?
Yeah,
I'm
you're just making it up as you go along.
100%. And so when people are like, man, I could never start a business. You can, okay? Like, if I can do it, I swear to you, you can do it. Like, you just got to figure it out as it goes,
Well, you just have to go for it.
I had no
sometimes,
plan.
right?
Are you kidding me? Like,
I
my
mean,
wife didn't say no, so I'm going after.
You were running on baby breeze here, right? You didn't know what you were doing.
That's what's firing this whole thing, is this idea that I have that still hasn't even come to fruition. So I get these labels printed miraculously. I don't even know how I found these guys. And so I start making some swaddles, and I'm like, here we go. And I buy a sewing machine on Amazon. I've never heard of a serger before. I didn't even know what it was.
Oh, say it
A
again?
serger. It's
I don't know what that
type of
is.
sewing machine.
Okay.
It's the one that makes this stitch right here.
Okay.
Oh,
The
wow.
inside of you, right? So it sews two pieces together, but in this case, it just kind of makes the
Like
border of the
hems
blanket.
in the corners. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so I go online, order this thing, and I spend, oh my gosh, like, this was the most disheartening part. Like, creating the LLC and stuff was a nightmare for me. Like, I hate, like,
Just the paperwork.
I feel like I'm so ADD, I can't even focus on that stuff, So I get this thing, and I'm down in the basement, and Paris is upstairs working, and I'm like trying to figure out tensions, and it's just stressing me out, right?
Yeah.
So finally, after hours and hours of days, right, I finally figure out, okay, this is a decent stitch. It looks okay. So I start making swaddles, and every color or print stretches a little bit differently.
Okay.
So now I have to adjust the tension. And it just was
So does your
crazy.
wife know how to run a sewing machine?
No.
So you guys are
To
just
this
like,
day,
we'll
to
just
this day.
run the thing. We don't know. We'll just try it. Yeah.
I know, and this was my baby, like, right? So my wife works full time, and so a lot of times at night we put the kids down, and she's still working. So I was
Yeah.
like, well,
Did
I'll
you
go
like-
down and sew.
Did
in
you
the
like call your
basement.
mom or something and be like, how do you do this?
I don't know that she'd ever run a surgery. I was me and YouTube, and just like trying to figure this thing out and trying not to swear at the same time, And so I finally figure it out, and I get to where it's good, and I make a bunch, and so I start a little Instagram page, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, they're dropping this day, here we go. And I think my first order was like $135. And I'm like, geez, this is incredible. Like that's crazy, and just kind of ran from there.
And it was just on like a regular swaddle blanket. That's just what you were running with at this point.
Swaddle
That's it.
blanket, and then I had a beanie and a bow that I had just found
Okay.
like on YouTube. Someone making like,
Oh, yeah, I
didn't-
can make one of those.
don't need to look any further, I guess. Here we go. Here's the solution, So like, there's the pattern. Let's go,
So did you put this
And,
on like an
so
online
Etsy.
store?
So
okay,
started
so you
on
threw it on
Etsy.
Etsy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started on it. Actually, I started the day that I launched. I was in the middle of China Hansen's little business.
Oh yeah,
class.
yeah. Yeah, we love China.
Yes. So we we're neighbors, right? And I was
Yeah.
like, China, listen. My wife told me about the class that she was starting. I was like, listen, if you open this up to guys, to males, I will join your class. And she's like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah. So like a couple days later, she's like, hey, if you want a spot, you're in. I'm like, let's go.
She's
right?
like, but you can't be weird when you show up, okay? You gotta just be cool, okay?
Yeah, for real. just yeah. No, so I took her class and when I launched it, I think it was like the second week or something. So it was kind of cool to like, see that and track that there while we were in class.
Yeah.
It was fun.
You got a blanket, you got a
Mhm.
bow,
And a hat and a beanie.
And a
And that's
beanie.
it, right?
and
And then so later on,
Yeah.
so a little bit later, like, okay, we can bring in like a car seat cover, right?
yeah.
And so my wife had some that she just ordered on Amazon, but she felt like they were a little short. Like they didn't cover as much as she wanted. She felt a little insecure in them, right? And so I was like, well, here we go. We can design our own, like however
Yeah,
we want.
sure.
Right? And so I made ours to where it's like 3 to 4 inches longer than your typical car seat cover
Mm-hmm.
or nursing cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's designed first for nursing cover, like the maximum security, right?
Mhm.
And then the top, a lot of them are just like, they just stretch out and they're so baggy and just awkward. I'm like, we're going to tighten this up. So when it's on a car seat, it looks clean and it's like tight against the car seat,
Yeah.
handle. And that way mom is not like feeling like things that, it's like just exposing everything, you know what I mean? And so we really designed it to be as comfortable as possible, but also as secure, and so we just went for it. Like, here we go. Here's a car seat cover, like,
Yeah.
again, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's just, you want this one? Here you go, and so it's just, and then like I did a video of me using it, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm 6'4", like 270 pounds. Here we go. Let's put them on. Now I'm like, see how much room there is, and it's just and I have my son's teddy bear or something.
Oh,
in
you're
there.
you're holding your
Yeah.
son up the whole time. Oh,
And so I'm
my
like,
God.
here you go.
That's
Got
funny.
like a teddy bear in here to show you how much room there is. Fits everybody. I kept getting this like requests for like a mini blanket, like something you can tie like a binky to kind of keep. And I'm like,
I don't
I
understand.
don't even know what the purpose of
What
this
does that
is,
mean?
right?
Yeah, what is that for? Do you know what that is?
It's-
a mini blanket?
It's like, because like some people have them like a little
Oh.
blanket that's tied to their binky, right? So it's
Yes.
like, it's just a way to keep the binky. And I was a little confused about it, so I'm like,
I'm
I'll
I'm
do it. I
confused
don't know
right
what the
now, yeah.
purpose is, right? But then once I started selling them, I'm like, man, these things are fantastic for bath time. They're fantastic. They're like a great blanket for in the summer when it's hot and you don't want a 50-inch by 50-inch swaddle on your baby or on your child in the car seat in the summer.
Oh.
So it's just like it's like the security blanket without the bulk is kind of the way I,
I
talk
see.
about
Okay,
it,
okay.
And like some moms still like find a way to fasten it to a binky, so it's like easy to find and easy to keep on the baby as
Yeah.
they're sleeping and stuff.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
But then the jack sack obviously came about, and so that has been just insane.
Well, I know that's the one that I feel like really blew up on social media.
Yeah, like
Um,
my sister-in-law got one for a cousin of ours, right? And they were at a what's it called, a baby shower,
mhm.
and they were like, no one knows how to use this thing. And she's like, let me show you.
Yeah.
So she gets down and she starts around, everyone's around them, like, and she's in like a circle, and she's showing them how to use the jack sack. And one of our cousins is filming it. And it's like, and as soon as she sent me the video of her showing how to use it, I'm like, this is gonna blow
Mhm.
up. Like, this is fantastic content. I'm like, how to use the jack sack, you know? And so I posted it to TikTok and it got like, now I'm trying to think.
I feel like when I looked at it, there was like 7 million views
yeah,
on
like
it.
it was
that.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Thousands of comments and just craziness, right? But like it's so simple, right? Like it
Yeah.
just shows the simplicity, but also the functionality, right? And so I've been using that to really promote. And then last month we had an influencer in Rexburg, the Fulham House.
Mm-hmm.
So I had previously sent them a bunch of our product, and she got on and and just in a story, a 45-second video, she gets on and shows how to use the jack swaddle sack. And she's like, this is a product I've never seen before, never heard of.
Yeah.
You know, and she shares how to use it. And like that right there is the value, is like a tutorial on how to use the thing, right?
Well, and it just
blew up.
It shows how easy it is to use too.
Yeah.
I mean, how long does it
Yep.
take to put a kid in there? 3 seconds, something like that.
I know.
Like
like
it's silly. And okay, so I've got 5 kids, and I'm out of this stage at this point in my life. But I mean, all the time that I've spent like swaddling with just a regular blanket.
Yep.
Finding the right kind of blanket, because not all of them work, right?
No,
they don't work the same
Sure.
way.
No, they're not all created equal. Not at all.
And then we were like, this is ridiculous. And so we got the one that's like, it's got like the 2 wings with
Yeah.
Velcro
Yeah.
on it.
Yep.
Did you use one of those,
Yeah.
Bailey? Yeah. And those are kind of okay, but also kind of suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the thing I didn't want is I didn't want Velcro to stick to all your clothes in the wall.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Like I didn't want zippers. Like so you're not
Yeah.
worried about zipping up, you know, and just a lot. Like this is as simple as it gets, you
Right.
know. And it's
Yeah.
like something easy just to carry in your diaper bag at all times, you know,
Well, yeah.
during nap time or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So we're in Costco at the end of the week on Friday. We're sitting there chatting with friends, and also get a notification, and it's like, Fulham House just mentioned you in their story, and
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
cool.
oh my gosh. I was like, I wonder if she showed how to use it. I
So,
texted that to my wife.
when you reached out to them, how did that go down? Like, were you just like, oh, it'd be really cool if these guys would?
Yeah, I was like,
would,
they're
like,
about
get
to
on
have a
board with
baby.
this.
Like this would be incredible if they were,
Yeah.
you know.
So did you like
So
message them, or did you just send them stuff?
I
Like,
just sent them stuff.
You just sent.
I just sent them stuff and a handwritten letter. I was like, guys, listen, you bring so much joy and laughter to the world. Like, we'd love to give back, you know, in some way that we can. And you know, here's some stuff we'd love for you to use with the baby, you know.
Mm-hmm. Did you ask them like, hey, could you maybe like do a little
No.
story on this or something?
No,
like
no,
that?
like-
you're just like, here, enjoy.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's it,
Just enjoy it, right?
Mhm.
And then she just, out of the goodness of her heart, shared it, you know.
That's cool.
Like they brought it to the hospital, so we saw it at the hospital. We're like, oh, they're using it. This is cool. You know, they like it.
amazing.
You know, it's
Yeah.
intriguing enough for them
Yeah,
to even
for
use.
sure.
You know, and they're using it each night. And then she just shared, and we're in Costco, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
In
this is
between
gonna go-
samples, you're just
like this is gonna go crazy.
yeah.
And soon enough, like a minute later, we start hearing cha-ching, cha-ching.
Oh,
cha-ching.
sure, yeah.
Just crazy, right? We're on our own website at this point.
Yeah.
We're off Etsy, but and then just Instagram is blown up. All notifications are gone. It's all new followers. You know, just madness.
Yeah.
And you know, showing up that next Monday at the post office. They were pretty. They were
With, like, a
pretty
million
surprised,
boxes,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause usually I'm coming out. Here you go. Here's a handful. But since then, like it's really kind of blown up. You know, like
Yeah.
it's really been very steady.
Yeah.
A lot busier than it was before. So it's really cool to see.
So let's talk about kind of the trajectory, the
Okay.
growth trajectory over the point. So you start with the blanket,
Yep.
and you're doing like a little bit, but clearly you're still working like a day job.
For
and
sure,
it's,
yeah.
You know, all that
Yep.
sort of stuff. Then is it just kind of plodding along? Then jack
Just-
sack hits.
Just slow growth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like our conversion rate is crazy. For me, it's like it's an awareness. We got to get awareness out,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Because people that see our stuff love it and they buy it.
Mm-hmm.
We just gotta get the word out, right? And so
Mhm.
like it's just been slow growing, and Instagram was just love hate, right? It's just like
Well-
grow faster. Come on, you gotta get real. This is dumb.
Was
you know?
anybody like mean on social media? They were like, "Oh, that's gonna kill that baby" and stuff like that.
Um,
Anything like that?
TikTok? Yes. Oh my gosh, TikTok is brutal.
Why is TikTok so mean? I
Instagram.
don't know why they're so mean.
I
Inst-
know.
Instagram, like for whatever reason, like
It's a
nobody
lot
wants
more-
to pick a fight.
A
but-
lot more uplifting for sure on Instagram,
Yeah.
but man, and TikTok is brutal. And like for me, it's like keep hating because the algorithm's just sending my stuff to more
sure.
people that
Totally.
like it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, I
that's
don't
true.
care. Like, I don't take offense to your stuff, you know?
Right.
TikTok is brutal, but also like the reach on TikTok is madness as well. Like
Sure.
for me, like if you look on TikTok or Instagram at Ben and James, like TikTok has so many viral videos,
Yeah.
you know, over 1 million hits,
Yeah.
way more than Instagram does. But I feel like when Instagram gets those, there's more of a payout, you know, like people,
Yeah.
like, there's more of a conversion there.
Yeah,
than,
I think
than
you're
on
right.
TikTok.
For whatever reason, that
They're not there to
algorithm there targets people who actually want to
Yeah.
take some sort of action
Yeah.
better. It's harder to get to it, but it seems to convert better too.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And TikTok, I feel like I've always had more followers there,
Mhm.
just because the reach is better. But I feel like they're there to consume, not necessarily to
Yes.
purchase, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
So
I think
true.
I think
that
that's
makes
right.
sense. So like,
yeah.
unless I can retarget them in an ad later, like it just we'll see.
Well, and you think about like how you use TikTok, right? It's like, oh, I'm falling asleep, and I'm just gonna like scroll for a
Yeah.
minute
For
until I
real.
fall
Yeah.
asleep, right?
For
Like that's
real.
kind of all it is,
Yeah.
for the most part.
there to consume.
Interesting, especially when you think about like who you target, right?
yeah,
You know, probably most of the people who purchase from you are obviously new mothers,
Yep.
right? And man, they live on Instagram. You
Yes.
know, They
yeah,
really
yeah,
do.
for sure. I definitely prefer Instagram. Like it feels more of a community than TikTok does. You know,
Mm.
TikTok is just like a marketing strategy. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way it feels. But
It's an exposure thing.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Interesting.
But to answer your question, go back to it, I
Yeah.
guess. Like it's just slow growth, you know, and a little disheartening sometimes, you know, just like, oh my, it's even worth it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But then you get the review like, oh my gosh, I'm sleeping so much better. Like my baby's sleeping better, which allows me to sleep better. And it's like, that's why we're here,
yeah.
right? Because anytime you can maximize sleep for new moms and new dads, it's a game changer.
Oh, for sure it is.
Like
yeah.
that's the most difficult part about having a baby. And so
Yeah. There's a
Just
reason
being
I
able-
look so awful now, right? Like after all these kids, you know. Yeah.
But so we launched the Jack Sack last January. So January 1st, I think 2022. Like it's
Yeah.
taken over
It's
because
cool.
you know, obviously our blankets were #1 seller for sure on our stuff, but since we've launched the Jack Sack, like it's definitely taken over.
Okay,
the
so
#1
are
sales.
you manufacturing all this at home still?
No, so I did. I sewed everything for
Right.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like I'd get home from work, you know, play with the kids, do dinner, all that, put the kids to bed. All right, heading downstairs.
Then I hit the sewing machine.
you know, just
Yeah.
to fulfill orders, you
Right.
know. Not at liberty to say who, but I had a company reach out and like,
Mhm.
hey, like if you get to a point where you're done sewing, just tired of sewing, we'd love to
Mhm.
make your stuff for you.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, that's great. And about a year later, I was just like, that's another thing. I don't know what I'm doing.
Did they
I'm
know?
a little,
Did they know you personally?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, how would they know that you're
I
sewing
know.
it yourself?
So
Yeah,
they're
okay.
out of Utah,
Yeah.
and like they have a company where they manufacture stuff themselves, and
Sure.
so they're like, we can just add this in, you know.
Yeah.
And so, which was like you know how hard it is to find a manufacturer. Like, you know, like I went to baby conferences to find manufacturer for the Baby Breeze, and it was just so hard. Like it's incredibly hard. So to have one reach out to you is just like, man, like how incredible is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
it's
so,
great. Well, you know, you think about where can Randy spend his time, right?
yeah,
on
not on the
business.
sewing machine. Oh my
And
God.
is your time best spent sewing, or is it best spent
Absolutely
doing
not.
other things for that
Yep.
business? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so about a year later, and the reason I waited a year is just because I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know the process.
Yeah.
I don't know like what it's going to cost. Instead of just like asking the question, okay, what's it going to cost
You
me?
just
You know what I
wondered
mean?
about it.
I'm just like, just intimidated to death. Right.
Yeah.
And so finally I'm like, okay, I'm tired of sewing. Well, like, how do we do this? You know? Like,
Finally, the pain of doing
Yes,
sewing
for
finally
real, for
outweighed the
real.
fear of
I
doing
feel like
something
that's half my
different.
business plan. It's just like I'm not gonna make a move until it's so
really
desperate,
painful,
you know. or
yeah.
No, but I just felt like it was really good timing at that point as well. So I probably wasn't ready at that point when she reached out anyway.
Mhm.
And so it got to a point I was like, all right, let's go. Let's figure this out. And so they're like, just send us one of everything.
Mm.
And the Jack Sack wasn't a thing at this point.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It wasn't a thing. And so I sent them all the product and they just sent back costs. Like, okay, this is what it's going to cost per swaddle, per bow, you know, all that. I'm like, okay, that was way easier. I would have done this a year ago if I would have known, you know. So then I just order fabric, send it directly to them, and then send a spreadsheet that says, okay, you're about to receive this much fabric. This is what I want it to cut into, right?
So
they take the fabric in rolls, right?
Uh-huh.
Like hundreds of yards at a time, and then they cut it up. So they have machines that they cut it and then sew it, package it, ship it back to me.
Okay.
Not package it, but
I was going to ask if
package
they're
up,
doing
ship
the
back.
fulfillment of the orders as
I
well.
do.
It's
So all
coming
the
back
stuff
to
comes
you, and
back
then
to
you
me.
fulfill.
It's all in my basement right now. I have a big room in our basement that's just littered with Jack Sacks specifically, but with Ben and James product and like just so much. It's overwhelming to walk in there. Like I can't even get around in the room, you know. Since Foam House just shared it, like that's where it's like kind of out of control, like in our basement, right? But and then I just ship it out. So as orders come in, I go down and ship each night. So
yeah. Okay, so there's a couple of really interesting points that you've made that I really like, because it's easy for a business owner to be like, "Oh yeah, I'm a genius, and everything I did
not
worked."
Not at all. Jeez.
And it was just success from beginning to end, right? Like I never had any trouble. It's easy for them to do that. We all know it's not true, right? Because that's just not how this sort of stuff works. And I love how like just open and honest about the struggles that you are.
Yeah.
I want to dive into those just a little bit more. So as you went from, hey, I've got this idea, my wife didn't say no, so I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
What kinds of struggles did you hit that you were like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what to do next?
At Frontier Credit Union, we offer startup loans for emerging businesses to help support you in the early stages of growth. This could be for inventory, equipment, or other operating expenses. Almost all businesses qualify. Get started today by visiting our site, frontiercreditunion.com, federally insured by the NCUA.
What kinds of struggles did you hit that you were like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what to do next?
So the biggest things were, one, okay, how do I set up an LLC? Like seriously, that was the stressful part for me. Like
Sure.
just as simple as that. Like there's so many resources, and I'm like, and I was just bootstrapping this, so I'm like, I'm not gonna pay for someone to set this up. I can figure it out, you know.
Yeah.
But like the sewing was hard because so I go out and get that sewing machine right, and I finally figure it out. And then I have a ton of seamstresses tell me like, you need to go get this other model. Like it does so much more and it's so much better. And so I remember it was like $1,100, and I'm like, that is so much for us at this point, right?
Yeah, sure.
And so I get this machine and I'm so excited for it, like pumped, right?
Was it ever really strange for you, like, and people maybe can't see what you look like, but you're tall, you're big,
and I'm sewing
and everything, and you're hanging out with like at the seamstress shop with all these.
I know.
Is everyone like, what is this guy doing? Is he gonna rob the place? Like, what's going on?
For at Joann's, right? Like I'm walking around Joann's, and they're like, "You're such a good dad," and I'm like, "Thanks."
Thank you.
With my kids, you know, and I'm like pulling out fabric samples, and they're like, "So what are you gonna make with this?" And I'm like. It's just hilarious. For sure. Love to be part of the sewing community, though.
Yeah.
So I get this new machine, and I spend $1,100 on it, and I get it down to the basement, and I have no idea how to use it. Like, no clue. Like, it's not, like, it's the baby lock stitch. Like, that's what I'm expecting, and it's not happening, and I am so frustrated. And I'm sitting there with my crappy one, and I'm staring at it like... I hate that thing. And I'm like, I'm trying to like, how am I going to sell this thing? Because my wife's going to kill me because I don't even know how to use it. It sat there for probably a month. And so finally I'm like, can I return this thing? And they're like, no, you bought it on credit. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, then teach me how to use it, you know? And so I go in and they're like, okay, this is how you use it. Like there's just different settings, and I thought like if I did it on a different setting than my fabric was, I thought it was gonna ruin it, you know. That was stressful, but I finally got that figured out, and it's funny. It's amazing now, right?
Well, yeah. What's so funny about that is just like you know, you struggle with it for a month or whatever, and finally figure out, and you're like, oh, actually, turns out I was an idiot the whole time.
Right? Like, just getting the word out probably because like we haven't had like. We're pretty boring as far as that goes. Like we haven't had like big, huge struggles. It's just just the
That's
simple,
okay.
just the simple stuff, you know, that.
Tell me about the LLC, like the struggle with that, because I think a lot of people want to start a business, but they don't understand like how any of that actually even works.
I think for me, like the biggest concern was like, I'm going to set up this up wrong. Right.
Mhm.
And then the name, I'm not going to get the name, Ben and
Mhm.
James.
Mhm.
And then IRS is going to come after me because I didn't set things up right for tax purposes. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like I had no idea what I was doing, or if I was doing it right
Yeah.
until until 1 year was complete, and I'm getting, okay, you need to renew this, you know, or
Yeah.
you need to
Yeah.
you owe taxes, and here's your EIN and all that. I'm like, okay, looks like I did do it right.
Maybe
you
it's
know?
okay. Yeah.
Maybe it worked out okay. I don't know. So, but yeah, that just was intimidating to me. Like, I'm just a farm boy, you know, like
Sure.
just
Yeah.
grew up on a farm, like just simple life. And so I just felt like just dumb to be concerned about that stuff. But it just was a little concerning for me.
Well, I think that, the lesson that with both the sewing machine and that, and most of this other stuff too, is people have like this really funny tendency that when there's a problem to want to step away from it, like push it away and like avoid it, not worry about it.
Yeah. For
Maybe
sure.
having somebody do some manufacturing for you. You're just like,
Yeah.
I gotta like push it away.
I know. Yeah.
But the magic to working through that stuff is to do the opposites. Like grab that thing, hold it close,
Yep.
right, and really just read up about it, learn about it, hit YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Go talk to the
Absolutely.
seamstress down at the shop or whatever, right? That's how you really overcome this stuff. And the
You
really
just got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Just work, you know, like,
like those problems don't get easier or better with age and distance, right? Like you just have to address them, and you have to.
Yep, for
and
sure.
and there's a million things that you just don't know how to do,
Yeah.
right? Like you
Yep.
just
And that's
don't know how to do,
okay.
and it's
just
fine.
go learn.
Yeah, you just go learn. We live in a pretty amazing time, actually, where like I remember when I was young, like if you wanted to learn how to do something, you literally had to like get in the car, go to the library. Hopefully they
Yeah.
have a book that can tell
Yeah.
you something about it.
Yep.
But the book is from like 1962. And so the information's not
For
super
real.
up to date. And today you can literally jump on the internet and find all kinds of really, really good resources.
Yeah.
It's a little unfair, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can have AI do it for you.
I
Yes,
know. For
thank you.
real. Seriously.
Well, that's going to be the future. Have you seen the people who've done that? They've put in like, give me a business plan for
Yeah.
startup, and it like spits this thing out. And I've read
Yep.
through some of those, and I'm like, that would have taken me 3 months to put
Right.
together.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I know.
That's insane.
Yep.
It
It's
happens in like
insane.
15 seconds.
God,
It's irritating.
it is.
It is easier now to start a business than it's ever been in the
For
history
sure.
of the world, right?
For sure. Because, like, I don't have a brick and mortar and I don't need it.
You don't need one.
Because Shopify, thank you. Right.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, like it's so accessible. Right
Well,
now.
and like most of your advertising
yeah, it's
is
all
free.
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
It's just other than your effort, your time,
Yep.
but you're not paying for your Instagram
Nope.
stories that you're putting out there and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
You don't have to. You don't have to be paid back that necessarily with
Right.
sales, right?
Yeah,
To
exactly.
get off the ground anyway. Another thing that took me too long to accept is that I need a photographer.
Oh,
right? You know?
interesting. Yeah.
Like, oh my God, what am I doing? I look like a like this stuff looks terrible. You know, like get real. Just hire it out. You
Right.
know? It doesn't cost
Yeah.
that much and it's gonna go a long way. And so yeah,
So
we have a
what were you doing
photographer
before
now.
that? Were you just like
Oh,
you'd
dude, I
make
had all the gear.
It would like sit on your like basement floor, and you'd use your phone to take a picture. Like what were you
kind
doing?
of. All iPhone, right?
Yeah.
But like I went out and bought all the studio lights and stuff like that
Mhm.
and tried to just because I would love to learn how to do photography, but I don't have time. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like I just don't have, like that's just not a priority as far as the business goes. Like
Yeah.
my time is clearly better spent elsewhere. But yeah, we have a fantastic photographer here in town and she
Mhm.
does awesome. And,
Mhm.
and when we do photo shoots, it's probably my favorite days at Ben and James.
Oh, really?
We have 5 or 6 babies, right? And like, You
Where
know
do
what
you
I
find
mean?
these babies? Where do these babies
it's
come
incredible.
from?
I just go on Instagram and say, okay, I need models.
You are kidding me.
For next Saturday. And it's like, boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, okay, let's just go. You know, I need 2 boys, 2 girls or whatever.
Do
right?
you like, are you like, I need a headshot before I cast one of these babies for this
Oh
photo
my
shoot? Or
gosh.
do you, or is it just whoever volunteers?
No, generally just whoever volunteers.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, I had the first 2 boys, the first 2 girls or whatever.
You are so mean.
It's just a question. I don't know. I mean, you don't want somebody showing up with
question.
like a Jabba the Hutt baby or something, do you? I'm sorry.
good.
I'm a bad person. I apologize for all that whole
That's
diatribe.
good.
Why are you?
No,
this
yeah.
way?
So it's fun because it's like, all right, we have all this product we need shot. One baby's going, and I'm gonna be swaddling the next. You know, so I just get to like, it's just so fun. You know, it's so cool.
That is cool. Okay, so what kinds of advice do you have for somebody who wants to kind of follow in what you've done? Young entrepreneur, they've got the idea, the baby breeze 2.0,
Yeah.
right? What would you tell them looking back? Like, here's what you should do,
Just
or here's what you shouldn't do.
do it. Just do it though. Like worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. Like, well, you're at what, $500 maybe, right? Like just do it. Just try it, you know, because one thing I don't know, I think about this a lot is I'm very grateful for my wife, right? For just like supporting this one. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because
Yeah.
like there's a lot of guys out there that are they feel like they're stuck in a job they do not want to be at. And like they have a dream and they really just want to try it. So like be that support, or a mom, like dads, be a support for her if she wants to try something, because you have no idea what it can turn into. Like at China.
Oh, I know.
China was desiring for like connection.
Mm-hmm.
And so she started this thing, and all of a sudden it is what it is, and the community is massive.
Well, we went and toured her shop
Oh,
last
the
week.
brand new one?
Yes.
The brand new
Yeah.
one.
It
It's
is.
insane.
It's unreal.
I
And
know.
this is just like, if you go back into her story, this is just a gal with like a dream and a desire.
I know.
And now it's crazy.
Like the mom-owned businesses, like just inspire me too.
They're pretty
you know?
incredible.
It's
Yeah.
crazy how
Yeah.
cool they are, and Utah's full of them, you know. But like, just go for it. Like it's worth it. It's worth the try, right? It's
Mhm.
worth the effort to just at least give it a shot. Because
Yeah.
then you'll have no regrets later, knowing that, you know what, I gave it a shot.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
just go get the shop. Like it's so accessible now. Go get the Shopify or the
Mhm.
Etsy. Go on Instagram for free. Create an account and just start marketing it. Like
Right.
it's just like, and you don't know how to market? Go on YouTube. YouTube will teach you.
Yeah. It's
like
not that hard.
everything-
I do
everything-
it professionally. It's not that hard.
I know, for real. Like it's just go do it, you know. And if you're with someone that has that desire, push them to do it, because you'll never regret it.
Yeah. It's great advice. What would you do different?
I would have done this when I was 20. No, just kidding. I don't know. Like I think about, one thing I think about too is just timing, right? Like I joke about waiting a year for manufacturing, right? To say yes to the offer that was literally handed to me, that never happens. As scary as it was at the time, I think timing worked out really well. Like it just worked out perfectly. And I think, because like for me, it's like I've always wanted to own a business and run a business, but I wanted it to be something big, not like something small and dinky, which this is right now. It's fine. But like I'm the creative, right? So like Benedict was probably better off if Paris was the CEO and I was just creating product.
Sure.
Like if I spent my time doing that,
Yeah.
because that's what I love.
Yeah.
And
You could still do that.
I know, and that'll probably end up happening at some point. I just felt like there was a product out there that I could create that could be big, right? Which right now that's the Jack Sack, like it's huge. But we got married when we were 23. I was 23, right? But we didn't have Ben until we were 28, 29. And so like we struggled with infertility for almost 4 years, and it's like, why, right? Like, if this happens 4 years earlier, all of a sudden this business would be 4 years older than I am right now.
Sure. Yeah. 4
You know what I
years
mean?
further along. Yeah.
Right? Like what was the purpose of that? You know what I mean? But it's easy to think that way. But
Yeah.
I feel like timing is it just worked out the way it needed to. And this probably wouldn't be what it is, or probably wouldn't have happened at all had it been earlier, you know. We've been 4 kids deep, you know, at this point.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
so it just really worked out. And trust the timing. If something doesn't feel right, as obvious as it is to your brain, doesn't necessarily mean it's right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So just trust timing. Like, there are other things like Amazon. Like, that's another thing that, like, what am I doing? Why am I not on Amazon?
Yeah.
But then every time I go to do it,
Doesn't feel right.
it's overwhelming, but it also just doesn't feel like the right time necessarily. For whatever reason, it doesn't make any sense. It's Amazon. Let's go. You know what I mean? But it'll happen. I think it'll happen. It's just not right now.
Yeah.
Not yet.
You do have to, like, especially right at first, especially when you're like inventing weird stuff.
Yeah.
like, there's just not a lot of data to go off of.
Yep.
And so you do have to trust your gut, your intuition a little bit more than maybe you'd expect to. Yeah. And, you know, that can be a little scary. It feels like you're out on a limb all alone because you're just like, but I feel it. I feel like this is the thing.
Well, and like, I think about manufacturing too. It's like if a year ago, or a year earlier, I go out and I'm seeking manufacturing, I could have got a completely crappier deal by me seeking it out rather than just waiting for it.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like, not that I waited for it necessarily, but it just kind of came, you know, and it was the right fit. And it was the right fit. Like, just absolutely, like, dream fit, you know, for someone so small, no minimums. Like, it's just incredible, right?
Yeah.
And plus a great relationship with a great couple, you know, that's doing it. So
yeah, for sure. Well, and I think the other thing that you hit on really well is you do a really good job of getting entrenched in the community and working with the people. You've always been like a people person. Yeah. And like, you know, getting hooked up with China, hanging out at the seamstress shop, you know, getting to know these folks that are doing your manufacturing. Yep. Those are all relationships that you've leveraged to drive your business forward.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And right now, I think the next step is just doing that with influencers, just finding a way to connect, because the possibilities are endless. It's just crazy.
You got a little taste of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's ask about that. Where are you going? What's next for you guys?
Oh man,
when are we going to see Baby Breeze? What's the deal here?
Right? I'm a dreamer. Okay, and so there's a lot of things I would love to do with Ben and James. Like, you have little kids. Well, a girl, right? Yeah. Have you ever read the book, the Little Blue Truck book?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that series.
It's a whole series. I've read them all 100 times.
I know.
I read one last night, actually.
I know. I would love to do like a Ben and James book. Oh. But I'd love to illustrate it.
Yeah.
I'd love to be the illustrator. I think it'd be so cool.
But you don't know how to draw.
No, well, I'd love to learn. YouTube's going to know. I'd love to at least paint it, if not draw. And then another thing that just because for me, again, I've watched the podcast. Yeah. So the real estate couple, right? Where not everybody's going to see our stuff and ready to buy a house. Sure. The same thing with the swaddles, right? Same thing with baby products. Like, we could be 2 years down the road from being ready to buy baby stuff. But, you know, if I can keep their attention at that point with good content, with stuff that's relatable and relative to them now, then down the road, like, that's something that I'll be top of mind, right? Mm-hmm. One thing that I think would be awesome is to put together like a cooking, not like a cookbook or like a digital cookbook, just like reasonable, like pantry ready meals. Does that make sense? Like stuff that you always carry on hand. You know what I mean? Like just reasonable meals that for kids that are quick and simple and easy. Like, I think that would be fun. Like a Ben and James cooking line would be awesome.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But that's the Baby Breeze is still.
Yeah. When are we going to see the Baby Breeze? When is that going to happen? Come on.
I don't know. We'll see. Timing, you know? Timing.
Somebody's got to be able to make that thing, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So where are they?
I don't know.
If you're listening to this podcast and you know somebody who knows somebody, let us know. I want to see the Baby Breeze. And here's why. Okay, so I'm from Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and we had 2 young children when we were living in Texas, my wife and I, and it gets really hot.
Yeah.
Really, really hot.
Yes.
And we also like to be outdoors and do things outdoors. And you're right, like the story that you tell about, you get the kid out there and they're miserable. Guess what? It makes everybody miserable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you're like, well, let's just go home, right? Like the farmer's market would have been fun, but we're just not going to do that today, right? Or whatever it is.
So true, though.
It's
For real.
absolutely
Yeah.
true. And if there's a way that you can like not ruin my afternoon,
Yeah, absolutely.
like that would be cool.
Yeah.
Be really cool.
I had my child on July 1st, and I was like,
Oh.
I love you, but this is going to be the worst summer ever because I can't go
I
outside.
know, and that's really the other thing is
Yeah.
like vitamin D is real after
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
experienced
Yeah,
after
yeah.
lack of it for 7-month winter that we just had.
For sure.
Like it is real, and so you can't just not go outside as a new mom.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Especially with
Postpartum.
postpartum
Yeah.
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like you have to be able to go out and live.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
be able to
Totally.
do some stuff.
And so
yeah.
being able to bring a baby out would just like it's right there, guys.
It's the great challenge of being like a new parent is how in the world do you not have your entire life, like, I don't want to say it this way, but I'm going to say it this way, like wrecked by
I
this
know,
baby,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And I say
sure.
that sort of facetiously because you're like, oh, this is great that I have a baby. But you still, you want to go outside maybe.
Yeah, I know.
I know. You want to go do some stuff.
Gosh.
And I think it's important, too, to be able to get out and do stuff. So let's see it, man. I want to see some baby breeze.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
we'll get that. Go get that patent pending status back up and going.
Have you ever considered, like I know some people that have done this where they invent stuff, and you're
Mhm.
like a really creative
This-
mind.
This is I think where you're going is exactly where I was hoping to go. with it
Well,
originally.
and okay, well, hopefully, and if I'm not, then take us back to
Yeah.
where you want it. But have you ever considered creating the concept, getting the patent filed, and then selling the patent, licensing it, or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly where.
So tell me
Oh
about
my
that.
gosh, the amount of YouTube videos I've watched on license. Oh my gosh, I could go on for months. No, yeah, that was kind of the original idea, and that's something that I've still played with. I'd love it to be a Ben James product. Clearly, right now,
Yeah.
now that we've have an established brand,
Mm-hmm.
right? But yeah, that's a quick way to make some dough.
Can
know?
you license it out
and
and produce it
I
yourself?
don't know. That's a good question.
There's got to be some version of a license agreement that lets you do that.
yeah, that's
don't
a
you
good
think?
Yeah, you would think, right?
I don't
Any
know enough
lawyers
about
watching?
that.
on
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
I don't know enough about that, to
Patent
be
lawyers.
honest. But I do know, met this gal who years ago, I'm trying to remember exactly how it worked. Okay, and this isn't meant to be weird or anything, but you've gone to like the public restroom where they have
Yeah.
like the cover, the toilet
Yep.
seat cover. So she had invented a version of that cover that's far superior to what they have out there today in like a
Reusable.
no, I don't think so.
Ew.
She explained it.
What way is it superior?
It just worked. It just functioned better, right? Because those
Okay,
stink,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like they're
for
never any
sure.
good. And so she had developed this version of it that was like a similar cost but worked way better. And she was going to manufacture them and start a company. And I think it was 3M does those
Oh,
covers
yeah.
today. And they were like, oh, no, this is not good because it was a way superior product. But they're set up to create the ones that they
Yeah,
have today.
for sure.
And so they bought the patent
There's like,
from
let's just
her.
do this, and you get a royalty or whatever.
Well, they just bought the patent from her
Oh, straight
and,
up.
and then never made it because they were like, we just don't want it on the market.
What?
We've
Yeah.
been suffering this whole
I
We're
time.
suffering this whole
know.
time. There's a better version out there.
And they
But
can't
I-
use it because they locked up.
But they gave her like $10
Tablet.
million for it.
Oh, wow.
Right. And just to take it off the market, basically. And I'm not suggesting that's a good thing. But
That's crazy. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you can develop like really powerful IP,
Mhm.
then people will
Yeah.
purchase it. And you're the kind
Absolutely.
of guy that could probably pull something like that off just because It's the ADD, right?
I know,
It's
dude. I swear.
it's all the ideas.
It's funny because like I've been asked my whole life, do you have ADD? Because I don't know if you see I'm moving. My
Yeah, you
legs
haven't stopped
all-
moving
the
since
whole
you stepped
time,
in
the
here.
whole time.
Yeah.
Right, and it depends on how I'm shifted. So if my weight shifted here, I'm moving like this. I'm
Right.
rocking, right? So it just all depends on the way but I'm always moving. And so I've always been asked, do you have ADD? And I'm like, no, I can focus just fine. Like, that's literally like what I'm like. No, I got no idea. I have no issue focusing. Yeah, I have ADD for sure. Like, there's no question. Like, just so many things, man. There's so many reels I want to start with just ADD stuff too, because it's funny. But
Yeah, you know what's funny is I have ADD, right? I was an early diagnosee of ADD back when it was like, hey,
Really?
let's get these kids as much Ritalin as we can, right? Back in that
Yeah,
era.
I've never been diagnosed. I've never taken Ritalin. either, but
Really?
yeah.
I can get you some if you need it. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. No, I don't think they prescribe Ritalin really anymore. I don't think I haven't been like medicated for it since I was a kid. But anyway, I don't even remember what I was talking about now.
Wow.
It's like there was. Oh, here's what it is. I remember now. That was I had already thought of 8 other things while I started
That was
telling
the
that
ADD
story.
right there.
That was the ADD going. No, and so I actually did like a YouTube video about ADD, just answering questions about ADD
really?
for people, because people were just curious about it, and I just talked about, and they just submitted all these questions. And I just told people about my experience with ADD. And one of the things that people always came back to was they were like, you seem intelligent, but maybe you're not since you have this condition. But a lot of people were like, you could be like an entrepreneur. That would be like a really good thing for you. So people with ADD, while they're, I mean, we've been sitting here with you for an hour and it's irritating, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I'm just kidding. But there's a lot of really positive things that come from people with ADD. Like a lot of really, really good entrepreneurs, they harness like the nonstop idea generation to great success. They really need like an operator next to them though.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's where I'm like, all right, Paris needs to step in at some point. Because she's been pretty hands off, at today, to this point. But like, some things need reined in a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, so you manage that, and I'll just roll with creative part.
Is she interested? Does she want to?
I don't know.
Yeah, not.
I think so. Eventually, we'll see. She works full time right now, and so the goal is to retire her first.
Yeah, pull her out of that. Yeah.
Back to influencer marketing. Was Foam House, was that your first like kind of situation there, or have you done that before?
I've had some success with influencer marketing, but not to that degree. Like, our audiences line up so close together, right? Yeah. Like, it's just like it's very similar audiences. So that's really I think what drove the success of that one. And I'm really hoping to do more with them eventually, right? Like, let's get it to where I can pay you, because I'd love to. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Other than that, not necessarily. So Foam House, and then my manufacturer, and then just like some smaller, I don't know what you call those, micro influencers.
Yeah.
Some smaller moms that have done a great job for us. Like, we have a.
That sentence is some smaller moms that have done a great job for us. It's just a funny sentence.
What? Yeah, for real.
For a lot of people, that's intimidating to reach out to those people. What advice would you give them? At Frontier Credit Union, we're changing the future of business with our Velocity Money Market account. You can receive unbeatable returns on tiered interest rates. We have rates up to 2.02% APY. Frontier Credit Union puts local businesses first, because when you do better, we all do better. Federally insured by the NCUA. For a lot of people, that's intimidating to reach out to those people. What advice would you give them?
The worst thing is going to happen is going to be a no, right? So it's worth a shot, because if for whatever reason they accept, then that's just a massive opportunity for your company. So it's worth the risk of a no. Like that's as simple as basically.
Well, it's always a no until you ask.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Even if like you send them product, you're out what? $50.
Yeah, a couple
product.
bucks.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's another risk that's worth taking. So
Mhm.
just ask. I think there's ways to do it that'll help you be more successful, and I don't know if I'm locked into those yet, but no, just be human, like just be human and just reach out.
Yeah, one of the things that's been interesting for me to watch is like these influencers, they feel like, I don't know, they feel like celebrities a little
Yeah,
bit. And
yeah,
I guess in
for
their own
sure.
right they are,
Yeah.
but they're just regular people,
Yep.
and they like to feel special. And it's real easy to make them feel special,
Yep.
saying like, we love
Totally.
you. We think our product's a good match for you.
Yep.
Would you love us back, right?
And for
No,
me, it's
but like they understand what it's like to build something.
yeah, they've been there.
And they want to send the elevator back down. Like they really do. And they're just easy and nice and kind almost always. There's very few of them that are like have a public persona, but that's not who they really
Yeah.
are. There's a
Yeah.
couple.
purposefully, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
rare, right? I would assume.
Yeah. And so, yeah, kind of what you see is like really what they are.
Yeah.
And so you can, in most cases, take them at face value and they want to be helpful, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
What other social media advice would you give?
Be more consistent than I am, for sure. Honestly, though, consistency is huge.
Yeah.
And when you're creating content, at least for me, like, what is going to resonate with people? Whether it's good or bad. Sometimes I just kind of try to, in, like, the little caption of the hook, the little caption right there at the front of the video, I'll say something that's maybe a little bit triggering just to, like,
Oh, sure.
cause reaction, right? Because then they're gonna, all right, I'm watching this thing,
You got to get their attention.
and I'm gonna
quick.
comment, right? Even if it's like not necessarily the most positive thing, I'm gonna comment, but that's just gonna drive traffic to my video, which is gonna bring, get it to eyes of people that really want to see our product anyway. So,
Yeah.
just you got to resonate, and if it's not relatable, it's probably not going to go it's not going to go viral like you want, right?
Mhm.
Not everything's going to go viral. I have so many videos. I'm like, man, this thing should have killed it. What the heck? 50 views, get real, or whatever, but yeah, just be consistent. And like, honestly, for me, the most successful videos I've ever had are thought up on the moment.
Yeah.
Like I have two that are going viral right now. One is like Paris had just left to go to HiFit, I think. And I'm home with the kids, and like it's just a little chaotic, right? And so I make it dramatic, right? So I'm like, dad experiences mom life in 12 minutes, right? So it's like the oldest, and
This is a great idea
and
for
I'm
a
like,
video.
yeah, and I'm like, the oldest, he's bouncing a basketball, and I'm like, this kid won't stop bouncing a ball. Jack, he's 2. He's out there staring out the window waiting for mom to come back, right? So I'm like, this kid can't wait till his mom gets home, And then you have James is jumping off the couch repeatedly. So I'm like filming.
He's trying to break his arm?
Go. Oh, come on. Go again. I missed it. Go, So he's jumping off the couch. I'm like, this kid won't stop. And then Jack is just crying. It's just like, and that one has a wild mix of comments and
Oh, yeah.
positivity and negativity. But
Sure. Yeah.
I'm very comfortable in who I am as a dad and a husband. Like I don't take it personal,
Well, you
but
can't-
some of my friends do. They take
Oh.
it personal for me, and they're like, all these people are idiots. They're psychos out there. And I'm like, just relax. No one cares. Like it's
Yeah.
fine. Stop reading the comments.
It's nice to have people like that in your corner. though,
I know,
that are
it
just
is,
like,
and
no matter what, they're just
Yeah.
like, they sound crazy, right? It doesn't matter what they
for real.
say. Yeah.
For real. But then the other one is we were out to eat. So my in-laws came up to help with the baby right after Bryce was born, our youngest. And so it was probably a couple weeks after he was born, and we went out to T-Town House in Manhattan, and we're eating, and my sister-in-law is across the table, and I was like, hey, just grab my phone, and I need you to film us real quick. And
I love this
have you
video.
seen this video?
Yes.
So it's me, so it's filming It's me, and I'm just like laughing and having a good time eating my food. And then it's Paris, and she's holding the baby, trying to eat one-handed, and she's feeding the baby. And it's like moms like have all the responsibility, right, when they're eating, and then the dads are just living their carefree life.
Oh, it's so
they don't
true,
have kids
too.
while they're at the restaurant.
It's so true.
And it's just like they're blown up because they're just so relatable, you know.
Yes.
And both of those were like spur of the moment.
Oh yeah,
Like
so
this
good.
is a hilarious situation.
Yeah.
Let's film it.
Let's capture
Because I'm
it.
like, can I take the baby? Because he's bottle fed. And she's like,
Yeah.
no. She's like, no, I got it. It's fine. Like one of us is gonna do like, he feed.
Yeah.
It's fine. Whatever, you know. And it's just funny situations. And like as they come up, I'm like, I gotta capture this. Like I gotta recreate it, you know, because I didn't catch it in real time, you know, whatever. But just fun.
It's not my proudest moment, but I remember when I can't remember which one of our kids was young, and my wife and I are at a restaurant, and I'm like holding the baby while my wife's eating, and I'm just sitting there, like not eating and just looking like cranky, I guess. My wife's like, "What is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "I'm holding the baby, so I can't eat." And she's like, "What's why?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's just hard to do." And I'm making like a kind of a deal about it. And she's like, "Well, then give me the." And so she takes the baby and she's eating and she's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Just yeah. Anyway.
That's hilarious. For real though, like that right there would be a good one too.
Well, and you're just, and to this day, I'm like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you hold
Oh,
the
I
baby and
know.
eat at the same time, right?
or do anything.
Or do
you know what I
anything,
mean?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I see a lot of videos now where it's like the mom's like, dad says he couldn't do anything all day while he was home with the baby because he had the baby. And then it's mom and she's like holding the baby, doing the laundry, doing dishes, cooking a meal, and it's
so
like
true.
dad just over there on the couch. I can't do anything. I don't want to do this kid, you know? It's so funny.
So accurate.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
that happens to me. Like, my youngest is like 4, and I'm still like that. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
my wife will go off and do
know.
something, and she's like, "Oh, what'd you do?" I'm like, "Nothing. I was watching kids. What am I supposed to do?" You know, all indignant about it.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Oh, goodness. But, you know, you mentioned something that I think is super important. Like, you have to let, like, the content just be who you are.
Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise, it is such a chore.
Yep.
Right? Like, if you're just capturing your life and it just happens to be interesting and fun, like, that's great.
Yeah.
But if you're just like, okay, I got to sit down and I
You're
got to plan
forcing it,
out
yeah.
and I got to stage this, it just is not like,
No.
that's not a recipe for long-term success.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do that.
Yeah. And like, honestly, like both of those videos, like the quality is terrible,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It's
It
the
doesn't
message
matter.
anyway. It doesn't
Totally.
matter. So like, it's easy to think, oh, I would love to have a professional video or a really nice camera.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. Like if that's what you're looking for, you want to get reach. It doesn't matter.
Well, you know, what's interesting, they've done some studies on social media platforms, and stuff that's like really nicely done
Mhm.
actually doesn't do that well.
I know. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
because people want, like, they're on that platform to find like real organic stuff.
Yep.
And if it's like too nice, people are like,
it's not
it feels
genuine.
a little fake.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, for
it's kind
real.
of funny.
For real. It's
Yeah.
not genuine.
Yeah, they can watch TV or they can go to a movie if they want something
Yeah.
that's like highly produced. But otherwise, they like organic, raw
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
I mean, if you're get real photographers, real video or real photography for your product photos.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't use iPhone for your product photos, but for content, yeah.
I think you're the first person that's ever like looked into the camera and been like, "This is what you do."
I love that.
Go get a photographer, please. iPhone video pictures are not up to par. It's funny.
That is so amazing.
Goodness.
Where you guys both work full time, do you
Yeah.
schedule a lot of content out? How do you kind of manage your
No. Oh my gosh. That's another thing I really, every like social media person will be like, here's my board. And I'm like, you have a board? You know, like that's awesome. Maybe this is why I'm not so consistent. you
Yeah.
know? But no, honestly, it's like, I don't know. I have a lot of typos in my stuff too because I'm like panicked trying to type it in before Paris is like, all the kids are losing their minds and you're on your phone. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, anyway. And so like, it's just really is like spur of the moment. And I really should be a little more prepared. A lot of times, like something will come up and I'm just catch a bug and I'm like, I just got to go create.
You got to go do
And
it.
so I'll create 3 things and I just kind of schedule those out. But
Yeah.
no, it's
You know,
They
I
should be.
heard some advice about misspelling stuff on like social media
Yeah.
about how it actually can be really good for you. So if you like misspell a caption or if you misspeak a word and say
Yeah.
a word funny, there's a group of people
Yes.
who will get on and comment and be like, you
Yes.
misspelled that,
Yes.
you idiots,
Yeah.
right? Or you
Yeah.
that's not how you pronounce that, you dork,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like there's a group and it just drives the algorithm
Yeah,
Yes.
for
forward, right?
real, for real.
So true.
So there's this one guy who's really, really successful on TikTok mostly, and he on purpose will missay at least one word
Wow.
in every single video he
That's
does,
smart.
just to
Awesome.
drive people to go in, like the keyboard warriors to go in.
Dang.
Like, you idiots!
Yeah.
Dang.
Isn't that funny?
That is funny. I do that, but it's unintentional.
I
just
know,
can't
me
speak.
too. I'm just, yeah, for real. I saw a video. It was like, is this one influencer mom that I would love to connect with? It's a video. It's like showing her dad. So it's like dad, and it's like born in 1992, you know, and then her 1900. She was 1990, but she
That's hilarious.
so she flipped it, and it's like keyboard warriors are just flooding in, right? How old, you know, just like you anyway, and it's just like I think that was intentional.
They're
'cause-
robbing the grave. You
Yeah,
can't
just
do that.
intentional, you know, just lit it up. you
That's
know,
amazing.
Just a genius.
Well, and it's so funny because these people who think they're like administering savage justice on the people of the internet.
Yep.
They're,
I know.
They're part of the churn and they have no idea.
Yeah.
Like they're being utilized.
played.
They're
Yeah.
being played. They have no idea. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a video where I put the nursing cover over a grocery cart, just as like so your kids aren't sucking on those. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so,
It's
dude, that one,
genius.
and I put in there like just triggered everybody. I put in like germ guard, right? And everyone lost their minds, dude. If you go to that video, it is.
I've watched
It,
that.
oh,
yeah.
it is filled with just terrible. On Instagram, that was the first video that was starting to get negative, so I just like killed comments because I was like, I don't want Instagram to be this way.
Yeah.
I have some terrible comments and something, but this one was terrible. Like it was on TikTok is bad.
Like
news.
what's the most funny, like awful comment that you've gotten on social media about this stuff? Because anything to do with like kids,
Oh,
Yes.
people
The
are
opinion.
they're after
Yes.
you. Yeah, they're just after you. Yeah.
it's just funny. Like swaddling is, it just brings up so much. Like Facebook's the worst.
Yeah.
You know,
Facebook's
'cause-
a mean place,
Yeah.
man.
Man,
They are mean.
so
there.
Facebook is like all these old ladies like,
Yeah.
could you imagine being swaddled in a straitjacket when you sleep and stuff like that? And it's like, listen, I don't have these reflexes that, you know, like it's hilarious. And at first I was like, that's it just kind of hurts a little bit.
Sure.
But now I'm like, this is hilarious. Look at these guys. Like, relax, people, you know? Like, it's just a joke, you know, or whatever. But the germ guard one is like, why don't you just baby wrap our kids now? This is why kids are pansies these days. This is why kids are always sick. And, like, this, it's just hilarious. It's just, or, like, most of them were, that's not going to do anything to prevent germs, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, oh, my gosh.
Oh my
So
goodness.
funny.
So let me ask you this. Who do you feel like is the most influential person that you've looked to as you've built this business? Who's mentored you? Who's helped you? Who have you looked up to?
I've already mentioned her a million times, but probably China.
Yeah.
Honestly, like
Yeah.
I took her class twice actually, because that's how good it was.
Yeah.
Like
Shout
I took
out
her
for that class.
Yeah, I took her class in person when he was here in Brolham's the
Mhm.
first time around, and then she did it online. I was like, I want to do it again, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
like I'm now like I'm into some things that I think it would be really beneficial to me for me to hit those topics again. And yeah, she's been fantastic. Like
Mhm.
trying to have a question, you know, like at 9:30 p.m. and she's like writes back. She's just been
Yeah.
great, and it's just cool to go from. Because I helped her move out of her basement into her first warehouse. You know
Oh,
what I
you
mean?
did? I
Like,
didn't know
'cause
that I knew
we
that.
lived like 3 or 4 houses down from
Yeah.
her, you know? And so like, it's just been incredible to watch her grow. And
Yeah.
like the way she created her community is madness, man.
Yeah.
Like just if you just go into her Facebook like community group and just read some of the comments, you're like, it is insane. Like it's just so cool, you know, like the support people feel from the other moms in that group is it's just cool, just incredible. And so I'd like to try and mimic that a little bit, you know, just kind of create a community and do that. But she's been an awesome help with a lot of things, but also just inspiration just to watch her grow and turn into what she has, you know. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is cool. What kinds of resources do you look at other than China's class? Like, are there books, podcasts?
Okay, so there's
like that you like.
There's 2 podcasts. Okay. So I'm terrible at reading. I mean, I can read, right? I can't focus enough to sit down and read a book.
Same.
You know what I mean? It's just brutal. So even like audio, but unless I'm like stuck in a car for 9 hours on the way home visiting my family, I can't be trusted to turn the audiobook back on when I get in the car the next time. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I'm so terrible.
Yeah.
But podcasts I love. There's 2 podcasts that I love. Dragon Slayer is one of them.
Well,
I seriously get so much. Like it's when I'm in a rut, I'll turn it on. I'll go downstairs and I just like knock everything. It's like Ritalin for me. You know what I mean? Like let's go. Like these people. Like just listening to people's stories. I love listening to entrepreneur stories.
Yeah.
From the beginning to now. You know.
It's cool. Yeah.
So that one. So Dragon Slayer, obviously.
Well, thank you.
And the Nitty Gritty podcast. Have you guys heard of that one?
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't heard that one?
Mm-mm.
I love that one too because it's local. I mean, it's Utah people, right? Like it's Utah companies, and it's incredible. Very similar, very very similar feel to this, you know.
Yeah.
Or they're interviewing, tell us your story. You know, it's incredible. How I Built This is another one. That's
a great one. Classic.
I love that one. I always go back to the Damon John one, and then just like
it's a good one.
This guy like. Oh, we got to get all our friends together to get things happen because I have this big order coming in. It's just, I love it, man. It's just, So podcasts for me. And I love people. I love my day job is to hang out with people and develop relationships and stuff. And so I love the energy that I feel from those podcasts, just hearing people's stories. Like, I love it. So like day to day, in my day job, I get to just tell me your story. Let's hear about you. You know, I just love it. I love to connect with people, and hearing those seriously fires me up. Like it's just lights a fire, and I just want to go work and you know, grow this to where I have a cool story. You know, to me, it's like so lame though. You know, like looking back, like everything. This has been 4 years now. Paris is always like, when China was in 4 years deep, you know what I mean? I'm like, I know, Paris, I know, but it's China. No, but for me, it's like when I tell the Ben and James story, just from like the baby breeze to going to order fabric that I've never seen except for a sweat. Like, it's so interesting to people, but I'm like, it's so lame to me. You know what I mean? Like, because like I experienced it, but it's not like it was like this magical, like the Jack Swaddles, like I felt that way a little bit, where it's like, this is
special.
This is special. Like I felt inspired to do it. You know what I mean? And to create it, like throughout the whole process. But everything else is just like, I just did it. You know, like it's really not special. You could do it too. You know what I mean? Like it's just.
But you know what's special about it? Anybody could do it. Almost nobody does though.
I know.
You know, that's the thing that's different about it.
That's fair.
You're just like, I was looking at fabric and people are fascinated by that story, but
taught myself how to sew. Like it sucked. All right. It wasn't fun. You know what I mean? Like, and it took forever, but like, it's cool, you know, it's just cool to them. And it just feels so normal.
I think the reason that we like that sort of stuff, and one of the reasons that people like this podcast is like, you're a regular guy who just put his mind to doing something, you know, something cool and something special. And some of that feels like really mundane and boring, but there's something beautiful about just like putting your head down and doing it. Yeah. You know, and that's cool and that's inspiring to people.
I think there's something cool about just creating something in general. You know what I mean? And so... Yeah, I get it. And I feel that way when someone tells their story and they feel like it's just lame, you know, and I'm like, no, this is incredible, great, you know? Yeah. So I get it from that standpoint, but it just feels normal, you know, like, and it just took so long. It's not like it was overnight, right? You know, like if it was, maybe that would feel different, but since it's been 4 years. And
I actually like this version of the story, right? Because there's occasionally we hear about I opened shop, I sold out the first day, and it's been just rainbows and butterflies ever since, right? And that's
you didn't earn it. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
and I'm happy for those people, and I think that's great. But I
sure.
think like your story is more of what this looks like for most people, right? Like it's a bit of a slog sometimes, and it's like, oh man, we just got to figure out how to get more exposure, and oh man, I got these production problems and whatever, right? Like that is so much more. Like there are very few rocket ship companies.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of companies that just grow over time until they hit sort of a critical mass. And, China's been at it, 7 years, something like
Less
that.
than, yeah.
And she's a rocket ship story,
Dude,
right?
Like
she's absolutely brilliant. And I think what's so cool about her is she's willing to like pass that along to people and like be helpful and kind about it. But there's a lot more stories like you that are just like, I'm figuring stuff out, and I don't know how to sew, but I'm going to figure out how to sew, and what the heck is an LLC, and like that's a really normal story. And what's so cool about that is, people will listen to this, and they'll say, I can see myself in Randy. Like I could do that too. And that's a really positive thing that you get to put back out in the world. Yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah. And dude, if I can inspire someone just to get out and try what they've had in their mind for the last 4 years, just go.
Yeah.
That'd be the ultimate,
Yeah.
What's your message to the world?
Just do it. Look at the camera.
Nike.
It's worth the effort. Just go. Like you have a dream, you have something that you want to do, start it. It's going to be small right out of the gate, but go. Just take the step. You have no idea where it's going to go from there, but you got to take that first step before anything is to happen, because nothing's going to happen otherwise. So
good advice. I forgot one thing I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Let's go back in time for a minute.
Okay.
So you go into your wife and saying, I got this business idea. And she 500 times previously said no, right? So this is not an uncommon scenario,
for
right?
Sure.
Because
I have a lot of friends that I tell this and they're like, yeah, same thing.
Oh, yeah.
She's never said yes, though, or never not said no.
So tell us a little bit more about that experience, about you trying, because you have to get buy-off from like your significant other, your spouse.
For sure. If they're not behind it, then that's another thing too. Like
it's hard.
Yeah. It is. Like, can't imagine doing this without at least support. You know what I mean? Like, not approval, right? Because that's not.
Well, maybe.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, like,
it would be because I think there's different versions of support here, right? You could have someone that's like, well, I guess it's fine. Don't lose your shorts on it. Versus someone who's like, I believe in you, and let's go get it.
Yep.
Those are different kind of feelings,
Yep. Other businesses is just like out of desperation. Like the things I've pitched before wasn't like I'm passionate about, you know what I mean? Or like I really have any business even doing
goldfish socks. It could work. Yeah.
Like just I don't know. Like it was just a bunch of ideas, like just to create an option out of what I was.
It was an escape plan.
Yeah, really. And it's like there's nothing really, there's no guts behind it. You know what I mean? But this one was like, I could do this, and then my mind was, I could create a brand and then bring the Jack or the Baby Breeze back. You know, that was really kind of the idea behind it. Was I could create a baby brand. That'd be cool. And like and then it's like everyone has babies. We have one, about to have a second. Like I love being a dad. Like we can market this easily, you know, just organically, right? Yeah. And so I was like, it was simple as she opens this package with like 7 swaddles, and I'm like, it's the easiest company ever. I could do this. You know, you just cut it in a square. That's literally what I said. And I was like, I think I'm gonna do it. And it was never okay, or that sounds awesome, or
it was just silence,
or no, that's dumb. It was just like, you know, like, and so I was just like, well, I'm gonna. So I just got on my phone. I'm like, hey, wholesale fabric, you know, like jersey knit fabric. That's all I know.
Yeah.
And so then I want a sample. Boom, here we go. Thanks. And I get the sample, and I'm like, well, I'm going to order some. Like, here we go.
Yeah. Under your breath during dinner.
I really want to hear her side of the story now, too, because I
great.
feel like it was just kind of like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Love to hear her side.
And I need to ask her. I don't know why I haven't asked her side of it. Anyway.
So there's an interesting distinction that you made when you were talking about that is I got this advice a long time ago by a friend of mine. And the concept, really simply put, is you should always be running towards something as opposed to running away from something.
Okay.
And that makes all the difference, right? So like all these other concepts that you had before were just like, yeah, I just got to get out of where I am.
Yeah.
Versus this was, this is something that we could really sink our teeth into, right?
We can build
and it changes that whole feeling. It changes where your brain's at on that whole thing too. You got to run towards something, not away from something.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
That's exactly a better way of putting it than, that's exactly what it was.
You're welcome. And thank you for joining us on the Dragon Slayer podcast by East Idaho Credit Union. We'll see you next time.
Woo!